No cameras. No crowd. Just fists. Seth Rollins just ambushed Roman Reigns backstage, and it was personal. They used to be brothers. Shield. Family. But loyalty died years ago. And at Raw, Seth didn't wait for the bell. He waited for the hallway. No words. Just violence. Roman gasped, bleeding, as Seth leaned in and whispered, "You made me the villain. Now live with it." Security pulled them apart, but the war's not over. This isn't about titles anymore. It's about revenge. Follow now, because next time, no one may walk out. The hallway was dimly lit. Cold. Silent. A place meant for backstage crew and storage crates, not for what was about to go down. No pyro. No music. No fans chanting in the background. Just concrete walls, buzzing fluorescent lights, and Seth Rollins, waiting. Standing alone in the shadows, hoodie pulled tight over his head, hands clenched, breathing steady. Calm, but far from peaceful. Because this wasn't a match. This wasn't about points on the board. This was personal. Seth had been walking the line for months, balancing the role of champion, locker room leader, and survivor of a legacy that never truly let go of him. Ever since Roman Reigns returned and realigned the pieces of power in WWE, everything shifted. Roman, as always, claimed the spotlight. The tribal chief. The head of the table. The man who built an empire out of dominance and control. But in doing so, he buried the past. He buried the war they never finished. Seth didn't forget. Not the betrayals. Not the silence. Not the moment Roman turned his back on everything they built. So, on a quiet Monday night, backstage at Raw, Seth made a choice. He didn't wait for an official match. He didn't need the crowd. He didn't even tell anyone he was coming. He just waited. And when Roman Reigns walked around that corner, alone, unaware, maybe even tired after a long night of political games, Seth struck. It started with a steel pipe. One clean shot to the ribs. Roman doubled over with a grunt, his eyes wide in shock. Not from the pain, but from the identity of the attacker. Seth didn't hesitate. A knee to the face followed. Then another. Roman stumbled into the wall, trying to shield himself, trying to understand what was happening. But Seth kept coming. Every blow was a message. Every punch, every stomp, every slam into that cold concrete was years of pent-up fury unleashed in seconds. Roman tried to fight back. He threw a right hand, clipped Seth's jaw. For a moment, it looked like the tribal chief might rally. But this wasn't a wrestling match. This was a reckoning. Seth slammed Roman into a production crate, busted it open with the impact. Sparks flew. Roman's head bounced off the edge, blood trickling from his eyebrow. And still, Seth didn't stop. Producers started yelling. Security rushed in. Chaos erupted as crew members tried to pry Seth off Roman, who was barely able to sit up now, his back against the wall, blood on his mouth, gasping for air. And then, Seth leaned in, breathing heavy, staring straight into Roman's half-open eyes. "You made me the villain," Seth whispered. "Now live with it." Then he stood, stepped back, and let security drag him away. No music hit. No referee waved it off. Just silence. Roman remained on the floor, dazed, broken, the illusion of invincibility shattered in a hallway. The moment spread like wildfire online. Fan-captured footage showed bits of the assault. Rumors exploded. Was this sanctioned? Was it part of a bigger plan? Or was this a man pushed too far, deciding he wouldn't wait for permission to get justice? The locker room was on edge. Everyone knew Seth and Roman had history. They were brothers in the Shield, until Seth drove a chair through Roman's back and shattered everything. Roman rose to power. Seth reinvented himself. They crossed paths many times, but never like this. This wasn't about championships anymore. This was war. And it had no rules. Backstage reports confirmed Roman suffered multiple contusions, a mild concussion, and would miss the rest of the night's programming. Paul Heyman, speaking on behalf of Reigns, called the attack a cowardly, disgraceful act of desperation. But others in the locker room? They weren't so quick to defend the tribal chief. Because they remembered. They remembered Roman's manipulations. The way he held the title hostage. The way he used his family like pawns. The way he forced loyalty and punished dissent. And now, finally, someone hit back. Hard. Seth Rollins didn't apologize. In fact, he didn't even speak to media after the show. He left the arena without a word. But his silence said everything. This wasn't over. Over the next few days, footage from different angles emerged. One clip showed Seth pacing back and forth before the ambush, muttering something under his breath. Another showed Roman seconds before the attack, smirking after a call with Paul Heyman, completely unaware of what was coming. The internet exploded with speculation. Was Seth justified? Was Roman finally paying for everything he'd done? And most importantly, what comes next? Because here's the thing. Roman Reigns doesn't forgive. And Seth Rollins doesn't forget. The next week on Raw, the arena buzzed with tension. No one knew what to expect. Would Roman show up? Would Seth explain himself? Then the lights dimmed, and Roman Reigns walked out. No theme. No entrance music. No pyro. Just Roman. Bruised. Bandaged. But standing. He walked to the ring, grabbed a mic, and stood in silence for nearly a full minute. Then he raised his eyes to the camera and said one sentence. "You don't stab the tribal chief in the back and live to brag about it." And he dropped the mic. That was it. The message was loud and clear. Roman Reigns wasn't going to let this slide. Backstage, Seth had arrived hours earlier, but was barred from entering the locker room. Management claimed it was for safety reasons. Truthfully, no one wanted to be in the crossfire when the next chapter unfolded. Later that night, Roman hijacked a production truck. He stormed into the control room, slammed a producer against the wall, and demanded they play a message. A clip rolled. It was Roman, alone in a dark room, talking directly to the camera. "You wanted to settle this in the shadows, Seth? You wanted to sneak up on me like a rat? I'm right here now. No hiding. No politics. Just me and you." He paused, his voice low and dangerous. "Let's finish what we started." And just like that, the gauntlet was thrown. The match wasn't set yet. No contract signed. No official date. But the world knew it was coming. Two titans. Two brothers turned bitter enemies. No rules. No titles. Just revenge. WWE officials scrambled to get ahead of the chaos. Adam Pearce tried to mediate. Paul Heyman lobbied for Roman's protection. But Seth wasn't interested in talking. He showed up on SmackDown 2 nights later, unannounced, walked straight through security, and marched to Roman's private locker room. Roman wasn't there. But Heyman was. What followed was disturbing. Seth didn't touch Heyman. He didn't need to. He just walked in, sat on Roman's chair, looked around the room, and smiled. Then he left. That smile said everything. He knew Roman would see it. And Roman did. The next week, it wasn't Seth who launched the attack, it was Roman. At the top of Raw, just minutes after the